First of all, I took a few pictures of very famous perfumes and I wrote down the things which make them unique and make them perfume bottles. So they've all got tall lids, they've all got these vertical, luxurious logos. There's a lot of gold, there's heart shapes. Ooh, this is from one of my earlier videos in which I transformed luxury logos to make them look cheap. You can check it out, it's on the channel. But what I did as a start is I wanted to transform Lay's logo, so I took the whole logo, took the Lay's word mark out, and now with this really dodgy shape, I'm just going to cut up the logo. I'm going to go ahead and cut that up. Why is this taking so long? Right, I cut it up. Okay, and now I need to split the individual letters because Inkscape is being a pain in the neck. I need to split the A from the Y, so I'm going to draw a line right there. This is terrible. Right, now after we split those letters, I'm going to color code them so that you can see that they're all separate. And now I'm going to start forming the actual logo. So we're going to turn around the L, and I want to make this look like the, I really don't know how you pronounce this, but the YSL, so the Yves Saint Laurent with the French accent, Yves Saint Laurent logo. I don't think the French people from you appreciated that, but I'm sorry, I just am not a French type of guy. But let's see how this is gonna turn out. I want to intertwine the letters. I've sped this up a lot here because it took a really long time and it was a really tricky process. It's surprisingly tricky to intertwine two letters together because you got to get the correct part of each letter on each layer of the canvas, and that is quite difficult. But here I managed to intertwine the L with the A, so it looks like first of all it's going in front and then it's going behind the straight line of the A. Now I'm gonna add some shadows. I'm gonna be like Picasso. I'm gonna add some shadows to make this more realistic and more believable. And then we're just gonna take this shadow, we're gonna duplicate it and add it on the other side. But it's causing some issues, guys, bear with me. There we go. So this logo is gonna turn out quite well, I reckon, and I think the Lay's logo was a pretty good one to pick for this because it just got 4 letters, so it's not very long, so it's not gonna get an overly long line of intertwined letters. It's just gonna be this line of 4 letters. I'm actually not even going to use the S on this because in the YSL perfume we saw how it goes over the edge of the perfume bottle. So in this case the Lay's is going to go over the edge of the crisp packet. I'm figuring out where to put the Y here, but the Lay's is going to go over the edge of the crisp packet, so you will not be able to see the whole of the word mark on that packet when you're looking at it from the front. So I'm going to actually exclude the S logo and I'm only going to focus on the 3 letters here. So I'm going to add a bit more shadows and I think that's good. Now I'm going to recolor the Y to make it grey. I'm just going to bring this in to where we're making the big pack into this file with a mock-up, and I'm actually going to make the design for the packet on a separate file, and then after that we'll just put it into the mock-up and the texture of the mock-up is going to come, and the shading and everything is going to come from underneath. So let me refer back to these perfumes, let me have a look, let me see. I need to find some expensive shapes, some gems. There we go, this pink, I've got no clue what this gem is, but we're going to take this gem and we're going to put it in, and then we're going to bring the Lay's logo down underneath. Let me warp it because we want it to look like it's going from the front to the edge. So it's going to the side and it's gonna have some warp. Right, now we're gonna find something golden because I want to make this look premium, just like the YSL logo. Let me just play around with the blending mode. We changed it to divide in the end. Now I need to remove the rest of this coin. Right, and now I'm gonna add some bevel and emboss. I played around with this a lot until I got the correct shape, and you're gonna see that it turned out pretty similar to the YSL logo. And later, when we're making the other famous packagings into perfume brands, you're gonna see that I maintained this style, and they all turned out pretty luxurious looking and minimalistic. The last one with the KitKat was really minimalistic. I don't know if I should have made it so simple, but it's just really clean and I kind of like it. But focusing on lace, I'm gonna add this golden frame around this simple rectangle, because in the perfumes I see a lot of simple shapes, and that's how perfume bottles work. You gotta have simple, clean shapes with minimal text, with minimal imagery. It's just literally the smell of the perfume, something written in French underneath usually. We're gonna add some onions. So what I'm gonna do with the onions is I'm gonna add the photocopy filter to them, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this does not look good. It looks like something that's been driven over with a car, but anyway, we're gonna go with that because I feel like that maintains the luxury style of the minimalistic imagery. So we made the onions, so we absolutely trashed the onions, but sometimes that's what you gotta do. Like with many recent logo redesigns, companies are just trashing their logos just to fit the style. Although this era is coming to an end and we're seeing more 3D design than ever nowadays, and I was really surprised a few days ago I saw the Pepsi logo. Actually today I saw the Pepsi logo from 2023, and it was all, I wouldn't say 3D, like I wouldn't say it was completely as it should have been, but it wasn't just those two simple shapes, the blue shape and the red shape. It was actually complex with Pepsi written in the middle, which is revolutionary for the Pepsi company to have their name in their logo. Like, this hasn't happened for such a long time. So we're seeing a rise of 3D and more complicated design, which I think is really good, because we're coming out of this era of flat design, which has been predominant for a large part of, actually for probably 10 years or 10-15 years. Companies have been redesigning their brands just to match the flat style. But anyway, this is the Paris sour cream and onion perfume. I really like how it turned out. I wrote Eau du Parfum underneath because you gotta have something in French there, and I wrote Paris as well because that makes it French and subsequently posh, and I love how it turned out with the lace underneath and the gem in the background. The next famous piece of packaging that we're gonna transform is the Kelogg cornflakes, and we're gonna make this into a perfume box. Yes, you heard me right, it's gonna be a perfume box. It is really odd, and later I make a perfume chocolate bar cover design. It is really weird. I think the lace was the most adequate for a perfume redesign, but with this Kellogg thing, it turned out pretty weird in the end because it's just this random rectangle shape. And how do you make this look luxurious? I don't know. And minimalistic, because it's got to be minimalistic. So I'm gonna try to keep the detail to the minimum. So I'm making the Kellogg's logo black and white, and I'm gonna change the blend mode of this gem. Later I change its color as well, but for now we're just gonna put some text over. And the font I chose for this is really interesting because the font is not a really overly luxurious font, but I think it's excellent for this because it's kind of playful and childish in a way, and comical cartoon kind of vibes, but it's still somewhat luxurious. I feel I'm gonna reduce the line spacing in this, so I still feel it's kind of luxurious, although it's playful and although it kind of matches uh, the Kellogg brand. I feel like it matches the brand really well, because when I see this cornflakes, like when I see written with that font, I just imagine cornflakes. I think it's really good for food and for a breakfast cereal like that. But it's not overly luxurious, it's not overly playful, so I feel like it's the perfect font to choose for a design like this. And now we're gonna add this dark ribbon which I saw on the Prada perfume, and we're gonna write I don't know what it is, the motto maybe of the cereal, the original and best. Now obviously that's debatable, guys, but apparently the original and best cereal. And we're gonna make this with a bold font which is kind of farm 80s 90s looking. It's quite retro and vintage looking, but I think it's really accurate for this design. It's really adequate because it's, again, like the font that I wrote cornflakes in. It's not overly complicated, it's not overly luxurious and minimalistic, but it's just somewhere in the middle, which I think is the sweet spot of this challenge. It doesn't have to be like super luxurious, because after all these are gonna remain food brands and they're gonna remain just regular thing that you pick up at the store when you have a bit of extra cash and you just want something for breakfast. So they're not going to turn into these luxurious brands all of a sudden that use completely perfume style fonts and logos and everything. But I feel like adding a bit of work to match the curvature of the ribbon, I feel like these fonts, although they're pretty playful and kind of food 80s 90s looking, they match the Kellogg's brand. And although I didn't do that for the Lays, I experimented in the way it's gonna look with Kellogg's, and I kind of like the look of this. It's really minimalistic, really simple. Another thing I saw on the perfume bottles is that all the icons and all the text that they use is centered most of the time. So now I'm gonna make this chicken black and centered. Ooh, that's too much for an eye. Let's see. No, too much again. There we go. Perfect eye, guys. We're gonna make the Kellogg's chicken centered and black, because that's really just a really clean look, really minimalistic, really simple. And now I feel like I wanted to change the color of the background to a more pale color, but then I started painting over it and I realized I kind of like the look of this. I low-key like the look. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna leave it like that, and later I'm gonna incorporate it into the design. So right now we're gonna write the contents of the box, how much it contains, and then we're just gonna crop this with a rectangle shape. And after that we're gonna change the blend mode to match the texture, and then I'm gonna blend all of the shapes and the whole design. I'm gonna just blend it with the background a little bit, so that it kind of looks a bit washed out and it's kind of textured and not completely pristine, perfect, and everything, completely finished. And this is the original and the best Kellogg's cornflakes redesigned as a perfume. Now the next brand, the next packaging we're gonna redesign as a perfume is the KitKat new hazelnut flavor. I see this black opium YSL gem where they've written the name of the flavor. I'm gonna do the same thing with this. So for the KitKat, I just took a photo of a disc, and now we're gonna transform this disc. Guys, into something which looks like a gem, because I feel like that gem that they had in the YSL perfume really was similar to a disc. I just feel with the shading and the circular look, it was really similar to a disc. It was looking just like a disc. And now for the background texture, I'm gonna add this meteor, or actually obsidian it is. And yes, this does kind of cover up the shading and the shadows of the mock-up. Once I find the blend mode I'm looking for, it does cover the shading of the mock-up, but later I'm going to change the brightness and the opacity and everything, so you will still kind of be able to see that it's a mock-up, but I don't think it matters either way, because you still see the shape of the KitKat is just a shape of packaging. So I'm gonna take the name KitKat and I'm gonna write it in this thin and luxury looking font, after which I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill in the hole in the disc, because obviously it just has to look like a complete gem without this weird hole in the middle. Then I'm gonna add the name of the flavor underneath, new hazelnut flavor, and obviously I'm not adding very much imagery to this, because that's what I'm seeing with the perfumes. They don't add a lot of imagery. There's almost no imagery on those perfumes, it's just text, which I feel like is really boring, but I guess that is the way perfumes work. To be luxurious, you gotta have minimal imagery. Obviously Nestle, the conglomerate owning KitKat. I'm gonna experiment with the opacity of the background a bit, and I come back to the background because I feel like this texture for the background was not the best I could have picked, but I wanted to choose something which makes it glitter like the YSL perfume bottle. So what I did was I just painted the background with a bit of red, then I looked up for cacao beans and I got these, which I am pretty sure they're coffee beans, guys, but we're gonna have them anyway because who cares. And now I feel like this is looking pretty good. We've got the 15 grams on the top and it looks really luxurious if you have a look. I mean, at first glance it doesn't look very high end as a product, but I think the minimalistic and the kind of simple stylish look of it make it seem quite high end, quite high quality. And this was KitKat redesigned as a perfume brand, guys. Although I do like best the way that lace turned out, but this is pretty good as well.